Welcome to the Dining with Nadiva show. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Miss Nadiva.
Hello, Nadiva.
Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, okay? But before we get into it, I just have one question for you. Have you ever had your mate ask you to sign a contract?
A what now? I'm sorry, what?
Well, if you haven't figured it out by now, we
mean
are
like
a relationship show. But before we get into that, let me just take a few moments to introduce myself and my beautiful co-hosts. As I said, I am Miss Nadiva. I am an entertainer, singer, actress extraordinaire, and I'm bringing my relationship woes to you. I'm also single, also dating.
Yes.
And oftentimes looking for love in all the wrong places. But we'll get there sooner than later. But I'd love to introduce you to my beautiful best friends, my sisters from another mister, Miss Tracy and Miss Tasha. Hi, ladies.
Hey
Hello,
there.
hey,
How
Diva.
are you?
How are you?
I'm doing so blessed. How you ladies doing?
Blessed and highly favored.
Oh, well,
Always.
tell everybody about yourselves.
Well, I am Tracy, and have 3 grandchildren, 4 children, and I am divorced, single, dating. Background a little bit. I am an HR professional, doing also nonprofit work with a church, and loving life right now.
All right.
Loving life.
I love it when you love life.
I'm loving life, girl.
Okay.
It's all
And
good.
life loves you.
Oh, it's
Looking
loving
so
me,
beautiful.
and God is blessing me
Amen.
Praise God.
every
Amen.
step of the way.
Praise God. Give him the glory.
Hi, everybody. I am Tasha. Hey there, boo. I, too, am a performer, actress, singer, dancer, choreographer, director, and all of the above. I am a married woman with a mother of 2, married for... Yeah, we stopped counting after 15. So it's 15 plus years.
15
I'm
plus.
trying to get there.
Or it's coming,
15
girl.
plus.
It's coming. Just gotta have faith and hold on. I have a 17-year-old daughter and a 23-year-old son of my heart, not of my loins, but he's my baby.
Still yours.
And, I am so happy to be here and happy to be a part of this discussion because I hope to be able to bring you guys a different perspective
Absolutely.
about contract signing and all of that.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, let's get on that. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
I know.
Yeah.
We're gonna get
Let's
onto
get
this
to it,
onto this
Okay.
contract
because I got something to say.
because I'm sure. Now, when I say contract, I'm just gonna give you all some examples. Okay, so examples are if your mate, soon to be spouse, came to you and asked or stated that you shouldn't go over a certain weight while in the relationship, or what about you have to make X amount of money, or even this, because I've gotten this. I don't like heavy makeup, so no heavy makeup, or sometimes no makeup at all. Or how about this one? This is a good one. 4 kids, no more, no less. Yeah? No? All right, well, before we delve into some of that, I would like to take this opportunity because this is the Dining with Nadiva show. So before we get into these topics, I would like to dive into some delicious food.
Oh, yes.
This is the Dining with Nadiva.
Okay. Is
I've
that
been
what I
waiting.
was smelling
So,
before?
yes,
I've been
yes.
waiting
So,
all
are
day.
you
I
hungry?
haven't
I
eaten all
saved
day.
my
I'm
I
so
saved my
hungry.
appetite
Oh,
for
wonderful.
this. For this
wonderful.
moment. Like, I'm hungry.
Okay, great.
I'm hungry.
Because we have a great restaurant that we're going to feature here today. And just so you know, I wanted a way where I could use my platform to give back to my community. And I know with restaurants opening up recently and finally them opening up the inside dining portion, this is my way to give back to those local businesses that are just starting out, especially minority-owned businesses. So today, our restaurant that we're going to be featuring today, it's called Son Cubano. And they are located in West New York. They're at 40-4 Riverwalk place. Now, this restaurant is very dear to me because I am personal friends with the owners, and they've
the
just
owners?
Eddie Duran and his wife Carol Duran, very, very great friends of mine, and they were gracious enough to allow us to bring their food on and give it a taste.
Yum!
I'm
waiting.
salivating because
Wow,
I mean
I
I
was gonna
literally
say.
the smell of the food was just like
It was everything.
it was everything.
It was everything.
Well, if that's what I was smelling walking in,
Then we ready.
Then we're
yes,
ready.
Mouth
So-
is watering.
Is it watering?
Yeah, I'm hungry.
I'm
you
so
don't hear my
hungry.
stomach talking to you
I'm
right
so
now?
hungry. When I introduced myself, my stomach was like, "Girl, hello."
Oh, well,
I'm over here.
well, you know what they say. We can't have black women waiting when they hungry.
No, they be
Oh, that's
hangry.
it. Yeah, they be
Yes.
hangry.
They be hangry.
Well,
It's
let's-
almost
don't
as
want
bad
hungry.
as having a pregnant woman wait. So let's go.
Okay, that's true. That's true. Well, I wouldn't know about that because.
Well, let's
there.
get to we get there.
So, Son Cubano is one of New Jersey's premier award-winning restaurants. Son Cubano provides excellent service and an atmosphere dedicated to the 1950s Cuban era of glamour, elegance, music, dancing, flavor, style, entertainment, and heritage. The open-air setting, vintage decor, modern Cuban-influenced cuisine, live music, and a full view. And when I talk about full view
Oh, you got that
of the
nice-
Manhattan
I can't wait to
skyline,
see it.
it is absolutely gorgeous. The location is magnificent. I mean, perfect for weddings, perfect for
Parties.
engagement parties,
Birthdays.
Birthday parties.
Birthday
retirement parties, all
Hint, hint.
divorce parties,
Divorce
all
parties.
all kinds of parties. Okay, so
Okay.
Contract parties?
contract parties,
Contract parties?
maybe.
Well,
see.
I mean, maybe
We're
something
gonna
to
see.
celebrate.
Yeah.
If you know,
Yeah,
Kinda like
If you sign the contract.
if you sign, or it could be another kind
or
of party if
it
you
could
don't.
be a different kind of party if you don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you
well,
go.
a party is a party.
Party is a party. But this is a perfect place to have a party. Or just if you're going out and just want to have a girls' night or a date night, it's a great place, beautiful atmosphere. But before we delve into the dish, I would like to introduce the owner, Eddie. And he will be also speaking with his head chef, Brian, who prepared this beautiful meal for us that I can't wait to dig in. So without further ado, Brian, welcome to the Dining with Nadiva show.
Welcome.
Yes,
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Straight ahead.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your, what you do at Son Cubano, how long you've been there, and what went into making these beautiful, delicious dishes.
Sure, absolutely. So I started with the company actually when I was a young cook about 10 years ago in the beginning stages. And I left for a short term, and I came back for about 6 months ago. I started back with the Duran brothers. And I started working at Ventanas at the Modern and just came down to Son Cubano about 4 months ago.
Wow. Lovely. Okay.
Yeah, so now the restaurant features, Latin American cuisine, but I've brought a little bit of my Peruvian background and American
Not mad
to
at
the
that.
restaurant. And so now we're putting out delicious food. And yeah.
Wow.
Now, please tell us more about what you sent for us today to try, because it looks and smells delicious.
Can't wait to dig in.
Absolutely. The two dishes we sent for you guys today is, one of them is our Ropa Nueva, which traditionally we used to serve in the restaurant as Ropa Vieja. And so to give it a little new era touch, we are now using a short rib, braised short rib, and basically we cook it in tomato with a little garlic, some wine, some salt,
All of that.
some onions, and a lot of cumin, and a lot of love, obviously.
Yes.
Put your foot in it, huh?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a braised meat. So basically we cook it very slow for about 2.5 to 3 hours until it's fork tender.
Falling
Wow.
off the bone.
Yes, and that's served over a little carrot puree just to give it an elegant touch, and a little salad of roasted corn and black beans.
Oh,
Ooh,
okay.
Can't wait.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Wow. Hold on. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
just,
yeah, making
Yeah.
me salivate.
We
Just
need a
little-
napkin.
just little
I was salivating just a little bit over that.
yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
And what's this?
Yeah.
What's the second dish?
The second dish is another big time dish here at the restaurant. It's a braised. Actually, we call it Pernilito here. In Cuba, they make a whole roast pig. cook it over embers, but in our style, we cook the pork shank, which is the front leg part, right on top of the hoof, and between the hoof and the elbow.
Okay.
And we do kind of the same technique. We cook it for about 3 hours very slowly. And then for the pickup, we deep fry it at about 375 degrees. So the outside gets nice and crispy and the inside is nice and juicy.
You had me at deep fried, Brian.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie.
Yes. Anything fried, gets me.
Come on now. All right. Well, I can't wait to try this.
Yes.
And then we'll be over to the restaurant.
Oh, yes.
Then, yes.
Yeah, that's going to be our next
with
thing.
all our friends and family.
You're welcome here anytime. Just let me know and we'll make sure you have a spectacular time.
Thank
you so much, Brian. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
You shared such great information about the food. I am starving right now.
Yes,
just
please.
Salivating.
Class, if you guys want some classes, I'm here too. I'm ready for you guys.
Oh, you didn't say that part.
See, now you should have led with that.
All right now. I may be
that.
get back in the kitchen. I had
My
just
husband's
went on
Puerto Rican
hiatus.
and he loves Cuban food. So
All right.
And I haven't found my husband yet. So any cooking lessons right now is good.
Well, you can come on a Friday, Saturday night. You'll most likely find somebody here.
Oh,
I know. I saw there was a lot of potentials running around there.
all right.
Oh my goodness! I don't know why Eddie didn't tell me about this place before, because he know I've been searching and looking for my Boaz. But okay.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yes,
thank you,
Brian,
so
we
much. Appreciate so much. Thank you.
And have a great day. I know those people are in for some real good treats today at that restaurant.
And so are we.
Yes.
Thank
you so much, Brian.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. See you soon.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, I also have the privilege of having my friend and the owner of Son Cubano, Eddie Duran, with us. And Eddie is going to say a prayer and bless our show.
Yes. So as always, thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for
being here.
Totally my pleasure. I'm just so happy that I could be on the show with fellow believers. We're brothers and sisters in Christ, and that's an awesome thing. I just want to bless the show. I want to first of all, the word says that when two or more are gathered, that God is there along with the Holy Spirit. So welcome you and the Holy Spirit, Lord, to this show. Holy Spirit, have your way with us. Holy Spirit, let it be about you, Lord. And Satan, we bind you. We throw you out of this place. You have no power or authority to interfere or create havoc in our minds or in our lives. Holy Spirit, have your way with us. Please, I ask you, Lord, to bless this show, that you get all the glory and all the honor and all the praise. And we do it all for you. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen, amen, and amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Eddie. And thank you for allowing us to feature your beautiful restaurant on our show.
Oh, a pleasure.
And we will definitely be down there very soon.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I had no idea how beautiful your restaurant is. I mean, absolutely gorgeous.
So do they take reservations?
Do you guys take reservations?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We have you can reserve directly through our website or on Open Table, or you can call me, directly, and I'll take care of any reservations you may have.
He's the plug.
And just so we know, the website is
the website is Son Cubano. That's SonCubanoNJ.com.
That's right.
And they are located at 40-4 Riverwalk Pl in West New York, New Jersey. Their telephone number is 201-399-2020. Make sure you go down. Make sure you bring family, friends, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wives.
Or just your girlfriend, because you might meet your husband.
Right. Or do like I do. Amen. Sometimes I take myself out to eat by myself, and you never know who you'll meet. But I'm telling you right now, you definitely want to bring yourself down there. Make sure you tell them Diva sent you, and I'm sure you're gonna have a blast, and you're definitely gonna leave full.
That's
and
right.
Pleased
with your
belly
full, your spirit full.
Your spirit full. Exactly. Exactly.
That's right.
Definitely.
Yes. Amen.
Well, that was absolutely lovely.
That was great.
Wasn't that great?
That
It was fantastic.
Great. That was great.
Okay, so obviously y'all want to eat, right?
I'm saying.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm saying.
So here we go.
So what do we
Without
have
further
here?
ado,
Let's do it.
All
Yes.
right.
Okay, so I'm gonna try the penny first.
me too.
That's tender.
I'm trying the ribs.
You can taste the Spanish herb. It's seasoned to perfection.
It's very flavorful.
Very.
And very tender.
Oh,
And you have to
God.
be careful because sometimes with pork, it can be tough, but this is
Delicious.
delicious.
And the rice, delicious.
Well seasoned up with the corn. Nice.
And so we have the shank here, and we also have the short rib.
The
How you
short
like the short rib? sis?
The short ribs is falling apart. It's so tender, so tasty. A lot of flavor, not bland. Oh gosh, delicious.
This right here
This is
is
good,
delicious.
guys. We gotta go here. We have to.
And it's just like what Brian said. It's crunchy on the outside and so tender
On the inside,
on the inside.
I want to comment, but then I can't chew.
right? You can't talk with your mouth full,
I can't
Tasha.
open my mouth. I want to comment, but this is very, very good.
That's what my grandma said, and I still do it sometimes. There's something else in the rice here that tastes really good. It's some kind of meat. You see it?
It's almost got like a little, almost like a ting of a little Mexican flair in there too.
And the black
Maybe
beans.
it's a tomato.
Delicious.
This is very good.
This is absolutely. Make sure
Son
you guys
Cubano.
go
Come
see
on now.
Try 'em out.
Cubano
This is
in
it.
West New York,
All right,
40-4 Riverwalk Place in West New York.
Beautiful view.
Beautiful view,
Definitely
Delicious
a must.
food.
delicious food, amazing atmosphere, and just good people.
That's very
And
good.
God-fearing people. How about that?
Yes.
Amen. That's very good. And I'm not a big beef eater.
But that's
But
it.
that's-
That
yeah.
like delicious.
That's
Not
very good.
dry. You know, beef sometimes gets a little
It's hit or miss.
dry,
with
especially
me.
when you have to cook it for so long. He said 3 hours. This is delicious. I'm going for cooking lessons. Know about you guys?
Oh,
Coming?
yes. And you know what? I'm missing my husband, too, because there's nothing sexier than a man in the kitchen.
Hello?
I say that all the
So
time.
for fellas you fellas who out there watching, listen here. The way to a woman's heart
It's a
is
hustle.
it's through her mind, but ooh,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. No,
you
it's
fill
really
that
not
belly
to my
and you make
stomach.
that food with love, honey. She got you covered.
And don't get it twisted. We don't need no baby boy scenes with homeboy naked in the kitchen frying up some eggs.
No,
that kind
that-
of cooking.
No, we don't want the Ving Rhames
No, no, no.
in the kitchen
No,
naked.
no.
With the apron on? Did he have an apron on?
Now things. What, man? No, all I remember was booty.
Oh,
I want to say yes, but because it'd have been tricky. But no, depending on what he's making, I don't know if I want that around my food.
What,
Right,
like
that's
if he was
what-
cooking up some sausage
well, like an apron.
Or bacon, if he was frying some bacon. Come on now.
No, okay.
and some grease hit
You
him.
have that pop, 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 pop. And you're not ready for that. Not at all. Okay, but thank you. Okay, so San Cubano. Go down,
Yes.
check it out. You will not regret it.
You will not.
Absolutely delicious.
Will not be
Delicious.
disappointed. Yes, indeed.
Okay. Well, y'all full?
That
Yes,
was
that was
absolutely.
That was delicious. Yes,
Oh my
it
God.
was. It was really good.
I'm no longer hangry, so we can have this conversation
Station.
with a sane mind.
Right,
Yes.
and not be upset.
And
And
y'all don't have the
not be
itis,
feelings.
right? Y'all are good?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Well, it's time to get into our Divas Table Topics.
Topic.
Table topic.
Now, I know at the beginning of the show, I had posed a question to you all. And that question was, have you ever had your mate ask you to sign a contract? Now, I didn't actually come up with this subject. Well, I did come up with the subject for the show, but it was actually brought up through my cousin, my very own cousin, you know. And we actually have him on the show today because he's going to elaborate a little bit more on how he came up with this concept of signing a contract, and basically putting what you want out of your mate in this contract and what you're willing to bring forth into the relationship. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce Reagan Gaddy.
Hey,
Yo,
Reagan.
you
Reagan.
love it,
How's
man.
it going on?
What's
Thanks
up, y'all?
Hey,
for
Reagan.
sharing your genius concepts behind this. I'm really curious to know.
Genius concept, huh? That's
Well,
what you call
Genius
it.
concept. I'm curious to know where all this began and how it started.
I don't really know where it began. I mean, I was at the end of my relationship trying to figure out like what might be a way to improve it. And one thing I really believe is like for any relationship to really work, you're gonna have to establish some kind of common vision. So the idea is basically that you write down everything that you want from your partner and everything that you want to bring to the relationship, as well as ways to try to remedy any of the shortcomings. And you just flush it all out on paper. And then that way, together, you guys have a clear idea of what it is that you're asking of each other and what you're offering each other, so that you can kind of get a better idea of what is the common vision. If you expect it to last more than, a couple of years or whatever, there's going to be hard times. So it's kind of like writing out a template for what you think you might need to be prepared for. And it gives you the idea of looking at the relationship all the way down the road. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Expectations and desires and what you have to offer. And you just put it all out on paper. And it's not so much about signing the contract as it is about negotiating the contract. So ultimately you wanna sit down with your mate and you want to discuss point by point what they're asking for, what you're offering, what you guys are gonna do to remedy the situation when you have issues or whatever. And then build the relationship from there, because a lot of people will end up paying therapists thousands of dollars to do the same thing down the road when they start hitting issues and trouble, and then you're paying a professional to figure out what you guys could have figured out yourselves if you're being totally honest. But that's another big part of it, is that you put everything in the contract that is reasonable, as well as things that you really want that may be unreasonable, but at least this way your partner knows what the ideal
as a starting point for negotiations.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then you walk it back based on things that you agree on and things that you disagree on. Obviously, you're gonna have to figure out how to work those out of the contract or adjust.
I had given some examples at the top of the show that I had written down. Some of the examples that I had given it were if we'll go in the contract, you have to make X amount of money. If the contract state that you shouldn't go over a certain weight capacity within your relationship, what if it said, no heavy makeup
or no makeup at all,
or no makeup at all? How about
or makeup all the
4
time?
kids, no
or
more,
makeup all the time,
no
less.
less.
You can always go the other way.
So the question is, what would you do? What would you do? So
Reagan, I have a question though. It didn't necessarily have to be signed. You just wanted to sit down and put your expectations, your desires on the table. Did you really want her to sign this contract? Or it was just a matter of just getting things out on the table and having a conversation?
It was certainly more about just fleshing out what each of us are looking for and what we want for the long term. I mean, signing it, that's kind of trivial.
Right.
Because if you've already put it down on paper, you've already declared what it is that you want and what it is that you're going to do. I mean, signing it, that might make it more like, in your mind, it might make you more obligated to fulfill those obligations because, you've written down, I swear to do it. But ultimately, it was about just bringing it all to the surface to begin with so that you guys are clear on what it is that you want.
Okay.
Now, you said that this was something that had come to you at the end of a last relationship. So I'm assuming that you didn't present the contract to your partner in that last relationship?
No, I did. We did it together. We both wrote one up. Yeah, we sat down, we talked about it, and we agreed to work on it together. Like we did the first draft, and then we were supposed to negotiate it and all of that. And she was real hesitant to negotiate it. And I told her, look, I mean, because it makes it real, right? Once you commit to doing something, now, accountability is a difficult thing to live with when you actually really got to live with it. It's easy to talk about it, but when there's part of my language, but then you really see what you're made of. So I feel like for her, it was just, at the time, this is my interpretation, it was like she wasn't really ready to, stand by what it was that she was saying she wanted and what
But was it what she didn't want to, or was it based off of some of the things that you had put in your contract that she didn't agree with?
Yeah, from her perspective, it was like, okay, well, what you put is not fair, and I was like, all right, that's fine, but if we don't negotiate it, then we're never going to get to a common agreement.
Okay, and so what do you do when you get to things that are just non-negotiable?
For
example, if she says, I don't want to be at a certain class of weight. I want to be how I want to be.
Whatever weight I'm at.
I don't want to
have four kids.
I want to have one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I have my first child, if I could bounce back to my regular weight within a year, if that's stated in a contract. Or if she says, you know what, I love makeup. This is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not negotiating on that. So then what do you do with that?
I mean, ultimately, it would come down to both sides, right? So if these are things that I know that I can't live with, right? If I don't want my woman wearing heavy makeup and she insists on wearing heavy makeup, I'm already knowing that's going to be a problem moving forward in the relationship. So then it really challenges the question of, is it worth it to keep putting in the energy, right? Now, some things should be definitely negotiable. The weight thing, for example, I mean, how many women say, oh, I don't care if I gain mad weight, right? So it's not that women want to gain weight, it's that they don't want to push themselves to achieve what they can. I know it's a touchy subject, and I'm sorry.
Because you're not having the babies.
Put the coin on the other side and ask your man, like, do you want your man to be a certain weight or a certain, whatever, keep his hair cut every 2 weeks or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like certain hygiene and such, right?
But y'all not pushing out whole humans either.
But
what's that?
Y'all not pushing out whole humans.
I'm curious. At the point of the relationship where you had presented the contract, were you just dating? Were you living together? Were you engaged to be married? Where were you in the relationship?
We have been dating for a couple of years. We were living together.
Had you presented her with a ring, or the prospect of presenting her with a ring?
An engagement ring? No, she had a ring on it. I got it, but no, not an engagement.
You know exactly what kind of ring I'm
talking about. Engagement. I mean, because I think that if you add, depending on where you are in the relationship, then those questions those things can be asked. But if I'm just dating you and there's no prospect of marriage and we're not there, like I don't have an engagement ring, we're not talking wedding.
Had you talked wedding?
I mean, all right, so just for context, I mean, we was talking, she didn't ever, put it this way, she wasn't really big on getting married. Like, she wasn't pressed for getting married. She did want to have kids though, and she was talking about us starting a family in the near future, like in the immediate future.
Okay.
So that was really part of what prompted me to feel like, all right, if we have a kid, then that's a permanent relationship, right? Because we got to raise children together regardless. And, me growing up without my father, I know that's something that I would never put on my children. So no matter what, I would have to be committed to the kids. But I wanted to feel confident that the relationship actually had longevity. So being that we was talking about that, and then I was seeing things that were giving me, clear pause to be like, wait up, this doesn't feel like it's going to have, the ability to last. That's where really the idea of let's put it all out on the table, what it is that we want from each other, and then, try to work it back from there.
Can I be nosy for a second and ask for an example of some of the red flags that gave you pause? Or just one example. It doesn't have to be a bad.
All right, so one thing, like when we was together, we was good, but then when she would go out to like hang out with her girlfriends, she would always kind of act different when she got back for like the next couple of days. It was like a different version of herself. Yeah, and then it's like, who am I with? You know what I'm saying? Because if every time you go out with your girls, this is what I got to deal with for 48 hours, that's not really cool. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like you're looking at a chameleon, and then it makes you wonder, like,
getting a reboot.
Are you the woman that I'm with, or are you the woman that you are with your friends?
Well, we do know that we get persuaded by girlfriends.
We do. I think that goes.
But that's
around.
If you got girlfriends,
men do too.
I think that's
men shouldn't say y'all, but men do the same thing.
So here's so that was something that gave you pause. Now, was that something that you had worked into the contract once you had begun to see this pattern?
Yeah, like, so for example, like if she was to display certain behavior that I was against, or if I was to display certain behavior that she was against, then we would have like some kind of like remedial method, like going for a walk together, or you know, working out together. So ultimately, it always came down to the fact that we know we're gonna fall short at certain times, but then it's about how do you recover?
How do you bounce back? How do you get back?
Right, exactly. Okay. So that was a big part of what the contract was about, was how do we work through things that are inevitably going to be there at some point,
right?
And then how do you get rid of that or work it through at least?
Did you have a weight clause in your contract?
Yes, Nadiva, as we've talked about several times, that was in there. But again, like that, honestly, like that was one of those things that I put in there more to get your attention, right? So that's something that would, from my point of view, that would have obviously been negotiated out. It wouldn't have stayed in there. But it's the idea of putting everything, reasonable and unreasonable, into the contract, because maybe your mate will meet some of the things that are perceived as unreasonable. You know what I'm saying? More so than some of the stuff that you may feel is reasonable. They may be more willing to do certain things.
And do you have a new mate?
Yes, I do. I love my lady very much.
Have you presented the contract to your new mate? And if
no, because for one thing,
feel free to tell me to mind my business.
No, it's all good. I mean, honestly, like I said, it was something that I did at the moment because I felt like I was at a place where there weren't really any other options for how I could feel confident in a relationship. The relationship I'm in now, I have a lot of confidence that we are both willing to work towards what it is we want for ourselves and for each other as a couple, without, declaring it on paper, just because we communicate better than that last relationship and things of that nature. So
I think it's good to get your expectations on the table.
I think it's great to
certainly
have on the table too. A lot of people enter relationships and
with no clue of where you're going. They have no direction.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna be. But I feel like it's all about timing too. Don't present me with negotiating and obligations if I don't feel that I'm obligated to you in the long term.
Right, and I can agree with that too.
I understand that part too. So then she should have said that. But you know what I'm saying?
But like I'm sorry. My question is, if there were red flags that presented themselves, which is what the contract was predicated on,
right,
why not just end the relationship?
Right.
Because he was working on it. Don't you work on your relationship all the time?
Yeah, all of y'all have been in relationships where you weren't sure if it could work or not, even though you might have had doubts, and you wanna eliminate any doubt before you finally just wash your hands of it. Right. You want to make sure, like, all right, I did everything I possibly could, and then you make peace with it that way, so that when you do walk away, even though it still hurts, you still feel confident that it was the best decision. Right.
Well, I always like to walk away from it, and it doesn't always happen, but I always like to walk away from a relationship amicably, right?
I would love to.
But sometimes when I feel like
not an option.
This type of situation could cause a woman to run and never want to speak to you again.
But really? Why?
If somebody put in my contract that I had to have this amount of weight and
he's saying that that's something that's negotiable. He's communicating, but he's also saying that those types of clauses are negotiable. So it's like my husband works for the power company. They have a union. Every few years, their contract is up for negotiation. And there are times when they're aiming for the moon or aiming for the stars and they hoping to hit the moon, or whatever the saying is, aiming for the moon, hoping to hit the stars. You throw everything but the kitchen sink in there, and then you wait to see if the other party is going to throw some kitchen
there's
sinks
nothing wrong with having
back.
Conversations. There's nothing wrong with communicating your desires, your needs, your expectations, because why would you want your wife to... My girlfriend did it. She was about to get married. She saw that her fiance was starting to gain weight. And she was like, listen, boo, I can't do this if you're going to have a belly, because I'm going to be turned off. Don't you want to know that from the start?
You do want to know that from the start. Yeah, absolutely. So this is...
Okay, but what happens if somebody has a stroke?
That's different
and
circumstances.
And they going to gain weight. You will not be attracted to them?
No, this is well within your control to lose or gain weight. We're not talking about extenuating circumstances. That's different. That's a disease that you gonna take medication for, and I'm gonna be right there by your side. But if you just want to get fat and sloppy with no reason and sit on the couch and look like roly-poly, no, you need to get moving.
But wouldn't you know that about your mate before you
may not.
Well, not necessarily, because
you know if a man is
no.
lazy.
Hold on, no. That's
your priorities
true.
change in life.
People change and priorities change. And, listen, when I met my husband, I was 132 pounds. I am
so if he said to you,
near 132 pounds today.
But if he said to you, I want you back at 132 or else I'm not going to be attracted to you anymore, what would you say?
Well, after I show him the door.
All right.
Before. What you just said.
I mean, listen.
I just think that the expectation
so this is just
should be
a form
put on
of a
the
prenuptial
table.
agreement. This is what this
exactly.
But
Jay-Z and Beyonce got it.
Yeah, but Jay-Z and Beyonce are millionaires.
But no,
but it's not always about finances.
It's not always about finances.
It doesn't sound like
but
finances.
I think here's my issue with the contract. I don't like
Maybe
contracts coming from both of us. All three of us have dealt with contracts, and especially in the music industry.
Right.
You're dealing with contracts for business. I dag sure do not want to have to deal with a contract with my mate. I just can't see it. You could call it something else.
But I'm not saying. Is it a matter of the verbiage? Is it the choice of words?
Call it a negotiation. Call it an affirmation list. Call it but when you say contract, that means
Can we say bucket list?
It says I feels like I'm obligated to do something. If you put in the contract that you want me to rub your feet every day, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on. And if we're gonna make it, a contract, it's got to be. And I don't I don't like the word, but it's gonna be okay. Well, I may not want to rub your behind every day.
So
or I may not want to sleep with you every day. What if we did 3 days out of the week?
Let him ask a question.
Ask your question.
Is there any part of your life where you found success that you didn't put obligations on yourself?
Say it again.
Is there any part of your life that you've been successful, that you've seen growth and development, where you didn't put obligations on yourself?
Of course, but I never had a contract with myself.
But a commitment.
It's a commitment. That's a different word.
If you make it up in your mind to do it.
I don't like the word.
You don't like the
word. So let
word.
me ask you this, right? How come one of the things that almost all, success people, all these, life coaches and whatnot, they always tell you to write down your goals. Mm-hmm. Because it's a way to hold yourself accountable. Mm-hmm. The whole purpose of writing it down, call it what you want, but once you put it on paper, it's tangible, it's real. Now you have to live by it. Is the problem that you have to live by it, or that you don't want to live by it?
It's not the problem. It's the contract.
So
I have nothing. I come from
Once you declare to make a decision, you have to stand by it.
Well, let me ask you this.
The problem is this: you could want something now and change your mind, but since you put it on paper, you know it's not that easy to change your mind. You have to justify it. Furthermore, there's a way that you could put renegotiation into
because that was going to be my next question.
That was part of my contract. Oh, real quick, just so you know, the part that actually scared her the most, just to sum up the relationship, it wasn't the weight. She didn't care so much about that. She cared about the fact that I told her if we had kids and our relationship didn't last, that I would fight for joint custody or custodial parent. That's the part that actually scared her the most. Was
the joint custody?
The joint custody?
Yeah. Like
why? What's wrong with 50-50?
Because in her mind, she wanted
Reagan.
I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
But that's the point. You know what I'm saying? Like the idea of me having custody of my children scared her more than actually, having to maintain a certain weight.
Well, that's very telling.
Absolutely.
Right. Do you plan on? Because the plan is to stay together. So
exactly.
In your mind, if you're thinking like this now, like, oh, if we don't work out, he's gonna take my kids. I mean, I don't know. I just think you're supposed to go into a marriage and it's supposed to be forever.
And that's supposed to be your
right. And ideally that's real. But
right.
But he said marriage.
As a realist, you know what I'm saying, I pay attention to the likelihoods of things.
But he also said the contract wasn't about marriage.
Right.
For him.
No, she didn't want
for her.
Marriage was not marriage was not a big priority.
So when you initially present the contract to whomever, is it understood that you can come back every 2 or 3 years and renegotiate the terms or renegotiate your commitments, your expectations?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, listen,
whatever
to
you
each
put in
his
the
own.
contract.
To each his own.
Yeah.
To each his own.
I mean, I think we can go on with this for a really long time because it's a very interesting concept. But
it's a very interesting concept, and I will say this. For me personally, and I'm talking about me.
Okay.
For me personally, if I'm gonna be real in all aspects, y'all know that I'm a very spiritual person, and the only contract we're going to call it a contract. But the only contract I feel that I need to live and abide by is the Bible. The Bible is a roadmap of life, the things that we go through, are going to go through. It talks about how a woman is supposed to be with her husband, with her children. It talks about how a man is supposed to honor, love, respect his wife. Those, to me, you open that Bible, it, it will show you how to be. It will show you what to bring into the relationship, what you should have. It talks about women. Proverbs 31 talks about, the Proverbs 31 woman, how she rises up early before her children, how she gets her house together before her husband goes to work, how she has her children get up and get dressed, and she's respected in her community, and her husband works and respected in his position, in his role. It talks about all those things. So that, for me, is the only contract I'm going to be going by. But if my husband wants something a little bit more personal, yeah, we could talk about that, but we're not going to be calling it a contract. We'll call it a commitment, affirmation list, whatever. But I don't know.
A checklist.
Contract, the checklist, the contract.
But that's semantics, though.
Huh?
That's
Thank you,
semantics.
Tasha. It is, totally.
Why?
That's because you're doing exactly what he's saying, except you're just changing the.
You're just changing the word.
You're just changing what you're
This is
calling
a word you're more comfortable
Well, I don't,
with.
because I don't like the contract. I feel like it's.
No,
I feel
you
like
don't
if I-
have a
Taking
problem with the
obligations to
contract. You
yourself
don't like
to the relationship.
calling it.
No,
a
I don't like
contract.
calling it a contract.
And that's what makes it semantics.
I don't
Right.
like calling it a contract.
Okay.
Okay,
So
well,
that,
you know
so
what?
That,
I don't.
so we understand that yes, people can come to the your mate can come to the table with his expectations, with his desires, and you're okay with that. Because don't you want to know?
Right.
I do want to know, and
But I don't want to feel obligated. I want to do it because I love to do it. I don't want to do it because it simply says it on paper. I want
But
to do
even
it
with
because I love to
but
do
even
it.
if you called it a contract and he presents it to you as a contract, again, he's saying that you're open to renegotiating terms. You're open to so everything that you're committing to do with the contract, you're committing to do with with the commitment affirmation list.
Right. But see, also, let's just go back really quick, and then we're gonna end this topic for now, and we'll come back to it at a later date. But this also stemmed from when he started to notice some flaws within his relationship.
Right.
So that's where this started. So basically, for me, if you're good in your
But you're
relationship,
not always good.
No, you're not, but no. But if
always
you
gotta work
have
at
an
it.
understanding, and y'all are working in it, and y'all are working together, y'all got that teamwork going on, then there's no need for me a contract. But if you clearly may have some bumps in the road and you need to sit down and reevaluate situations, then maybe the contract may be for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just all how you look at it, your perspective
It's
on
how
it,
you
and
look
where
at it.
you are in your relationship.
Yeah, no,
Because
I agree.
I think timing is key. It's very hard to tell somebody, unless they're cool with not marriage. But if they have no idea how this relationship is going to be in the long term, and you come and present them with a list of obligations that you want them to do, I know from a woman's perspective, it's going to be really hard.
It definitely will, and
understand that logic.
And I can tell you, as someone who's been married for a really long time, prior to us going into our marriage, if my husband and I had sat down and ticked off what we expected of the other person, we probably could have avoided a long.
See? It's about conversation.
but it's about communicating. It's about having
conversation.
It's about having realistic expectations and goals, and it's about being able to compromise
And being transparent.
and
Right.
being transparent.
Because maybe your husband doesn't feel good saying, you know what, Tosh, when you get a little chubby, it takes a lot for me to get aroused. I mean, it's a feeling. Like, do you want to kill him for that? Or do you want him to just say what it is? I'm just being honest. Like,
No.
I mean,
But see, I'm not worried about the
a whole
weight
bunch of weight
portion of it.
and he had a belly, and I was looking at him like, he was so much more attractive when he was thinner. I mean, it wouldn't be me, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I've
there
seen
are
women
I have to.
those
I have
things.
to.
It's a little shallow, yes. I may say it's a little shallow, but
Well, it's
I
a
just
preference.
think it's a right, and
It's
you
a
got to tell
preference.
your mate what your preference is. You
Yeah.
don't have to have that conversation. I think so.
I think you should.
You can have the
I
conversation. I don't think you
didn't.
need a contract for
No,
that.
I'm just talking about a conversation. The contract thing for you is the problem. The word contract.
The
I'm talking
language of
about-
it all
right.
is
what
I'm
I'm
just
saying.
talking about communication. Communication is my thing.
Yeah.
I like to talk about everything.
Yeah.
I may even overanalyze things, but I just want to have the conversation.
Ultimately, you always want your mate to be like your best friend. You want them to be like your sounding board. You want to be able to talk to them about any and everything.
And be transparent.
Exactly. And just for the record, also too, there's nothing wrong with therapy because we're all about mental health. And however you need to get therapy and get your relationship going, right. Go seek therapy. You know, if the contract or negotiating, because sometimes you can't negotiate with your own spouse.
And you need a mediator, somebody to
exactly,
be.
And you need that mediator in between. So, you know,
someone to be a voice of reason because you're both coming from an emotional place. So you need someone who can take the emotion out of it, see it in its pragmatic state, and help you find a way
through.
Right, and that also avoids the police being called and things being tossed around.
I mean, well,
I'm just saying.
All the way there?
I'm just saying.
I feel like that's a story.
I had a flashback.
Okay.
I had a flashback. Okay,
yes.
Come back
to us, girl. Come on.
Come on. Back.
Well,
remove all the sharp objects.
Thank you, Reagan.
Thank you, Reagan, so much for calling in and sharing.
This is definitely not a man bashing situation, okay? Because I
appreciate that too, for sure, y'all. Because I know it's easy to dig in and just be like, you know,
no,
to the worst. But you know, ultimately, it's about establishing honest communication. Because if a relationship's gonna last, you gotta be upfront with each other. Mm-hmm. Either it's gonna come out in the beginning or it's gonna come out in the wash.
It's gonna come out in the bath
whatever
water.
Don't come out in the wash comes out in the rinse. That's what my grandma said.
Mm-hmm. And that's a pearl of wisdom right there. Write that down.
Mm-hmm. Write that down. What don't come out in the wash, come out in the rinse. Okay. What's done in the dark comes to light.
And what did Aunt Mary say? Something in the milk ain't clean. Yes, I love that line.
Something in the milk
I love that
clean.
line. All right, well, Cuzzo, thank you so much.
Yes, my pleasure.
You know I love you.
Congratulations, y'all. Keep doing your thing.
Thank you.
Peace.
Bye.
All right, ladies. So that was a lot.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think it's interesting because we've had this conversation offline before.
Right.
And prior to him explaining it, I'm not going to lie. I was like, he's bumped his head.
See, that's how I felt until I sat with Reagan and talked to him.
Okay.
And then I actually saw what he was talking about. And I really believe, listen, I said to Nadiva, my girls, I sometimes see them in relationships, and I feel like, you guys should have sat down and had a conversation about what you want in life, how you want to raise your children, what do you expect from a man. Like, if someone was giving them a little more direction, and I've given them a lot, but, you know, so maybe the person that they love could better talk to them and they would hear them better.
Right.
They would know what the do's and the don'ts beforehand, before you move in with somebody, before you start having children with somebody. I just think that clear lines of communication is key. And that's all Reagan's trying to do, I think. I think he's just trying to set the expectation for what he wants in a relationship. And contract, affirmations, whatever you want to call it, I think that that's not a bad thing.
Okay.
Nadia isn't feeling it.
She's like, I don't want to contract.
She is like, we're not doing
Why
that.
not just call it a negotiation? Why not just call it a commitment list? Why not?
You could call
why
it
we got to?
want.
We have to figure out the difference though between the contract and negotiations. We negotiate and we communicate. At least I know I do. I communicate in my relationships, right?
Right.
I don't need a contract to be able to tell someone how I feel.
You know what I was saying? Right. I just think that I think communication is important in any relationship you're in, regardless of whether it's a friendship, an intimate relationship, a physical relationship.
Exactly.
Communication is always important. It's having expectations for your friends, your partners, even the way family treats you. That's just something I think is every day. So when you sit down with someone that you're going to be spending a significant amount of time and you're going to be sharing space with, I have expectations. Alex had expectations before we got into our marriage. Did he share those expectations with me, though?
He didn't.
So, you know, there were times we would fight about the same thing over and over again. And he's like, well, this is what I expected. Well, had you said that from the door?
I may not be here.
It would be a different story.
That's what I was thinking. I ain't want to say it. Because, I ain't trying to,
Sorry, Alex, I love you. But
or even me. Or even me. There were certain expectations that I had. And I think had I shared those expectations from the door, our path could have been different. Not necessarily, the journey would have been different.
Right.
The destination would have been the same.
Speed bumps in the road.
But the journey would have been different.
Okay, but now if you were to go back to that time, instead of him communicating it to you verbally, and he came down with a list of things, how do you think you would have received that? Don't answer that question yet. That's a food for thought for some of y'all out there.
Because it's important for stuff to happen. Okay? So, especially young people getting into relationships, I think it's just important for you to lay it out there from the door.
It is.
I think that's important.
And figure out what works for you. If you like it on paper and a signature at the bottom with your life and your date and the date you signed
Goodness gracious.
And you have to
You're not,
prick your finger with the blood and sign it, then you go right ahead and you
over here making blood contracts. That is not what the man said.
That is not at all what he was
Well,
saying.
you know what?
You are
I
a mess.
got some scripture today.
All right, let's do it.
Amen.
I've got a scripture today that kind of sums it up for me.
Sum it up for me, please.
Okay. Well, today's scripture comes from Psalms 37, 3-4. And it says, trust, rely on, and have confidence in the Lord.
Amen.
And do good. Dwell in the land and feed securely on his faithfulness. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart.
Amen.
And the petitions of your heart.
All right.
Amen.
On that note.
On that note, well,
hallelujah.
ladies,
Well, this was fabulous. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yes.
We want to
subscribe,
like, and hit that button.
Notification button.
We want to thank Son Cubano.
Son Cubano.
Son Cubano.
Brian and Eddie, thank you so much for coming on the show today and introducing your lovely restaurant and your delicious
Very good.
Make sure you also comment, you guys. We want to hear from you. If you have some topics that you would like us to bring up in the show, definitely hit comment on that screen. If you have any questions, words of advice, we're here. We read everything. So I just want to thank you ladies for sharing this moment. And
we got to thank Reagan again for calling in and joining us and sharing that with us.
And this is therapeutic for us.
Yes, it is.
It is.
Very therapeutic.
All right.
Yes. All right. Hallelujah. All right. Well, ladies, that was great.
That
was great.
So happy to be able to do this.
Until next time.
Remember.
Stay divine.